Welcome back. We're going to get things rolling. We're going to continue with the Pacific Division, and let's pick up with these Los Angeles Lakers. Last year, they finished 42-30. They were the 7th seed, narrowly escaped the Golden State Warriors in the play-in game and lost to Phoenix in 6. Of course, this is a completely different looking team this year. Not completely, but it's a much different looking team than it was last year. Let's start with T this time. What are your thoughts on the Lakers?
Here's my thing. As I mentioned before, big Lakers guy, big LeBron guy, to be honest. Like next year, if he was a Nugget, you would see me as a Nuggets fan. For now, I'm a Lakers. I will say this. Look, they are for most people, they are a consensus to come out the West, be a West favorite. I agree with that. But my next point is they're not exactly a favorite's favorite. They're not. In my like true thinking is that the West, there isn't really that lock second team that's like, no, they can beat the Lakers right now. So everyone's saying the Lakers are the favorites by default. My problem with this team is I like the Westbrook pickup. I know he's not the great pickup, but he's a dynamic, he's a playmaker. For what it's worth, he's just a guy that in the regular season, he'll give us something. And we
definitely help in the regular season.
Definitely helping the regular season for sure. And we know he's turnover prone and he can't shoot. So in the playoffs, that's going to be an issue. Anthony Davis is really the key to this team. As I said, I think I've said this before when I'm talking sports. LeBron, year 19, he's my GOAT. He's my greatest player of all time for sure. But I mean,
all right, folks, that's all we have for you today. Tune in for football on Tuesday night, and we'll see you next week.
At some point, he is going to be able to. He is going to have a year where it's like, oh wow, maybe Father Time did actually catch up to LeBron. So Anthony Davis needs to take that step. We need to see him. He's a guy that's like one night he's in, one night he's out. And so I like how they surrounded the team. I like Horton Tucker. I think he's up for a bounce back year. He's gonna come up. I like some pickups. Malik Monk for a minimum was huge.
That's
huge. Really like him. He's gonna give me some J.R. Smith vibes with Cleveland. Like one night he's gonna be really shooting the ball well. I like good streaky shooter. Kent Bazemore, solid 3-and-D guy, long, can shoot the three. Wayne Ellington, I'm really not so high on. Trevor Ariza,
Lakers
insane.
legend.
That's insane to me.
You went around the league.
I liked it. I like this team. I mean, no matter how you feel about it, they're a watch. They're definitely a watch.
Oh, for sure.
Rondo's back. Dwight Howard's back, so they can play that too big.
If
lineup.
It was 2013, this team would be all time.
This would be
great.
A USA team. Yes, they're like
USA. Facts.
Yes, they're with names. So, let's just hope they stay healthy. Let's just hope Westbrook can minimize the turnovers. Maybe best case scenario, get somewhat of an outside shot. And let's hope Father Time doesn't hurt LeBron too much. And they're going to be one of the teams to beat. Definitely.
Well, yeah, I'll say this. I think Father Time did start to knock on the door last year.
Jay's been saying it.
And I made this point last year.
I told him he was wrong.
This is a fair
last year, at least.
This is a fair. At some point, it's time to hear this.
It was the first time in a playoff series where you see LeBron hands on his hips. It's Gabe, you mentioned this, the huffing and puffing. We never see that before. In and out during the timeouts, and then with LeBron, I think he's kind of calculated. It plays to his IQ, and it's also a little bogus excuse sometimes, but he knows when he doesn't have it. I think he's the best superstar when it comes to realizing I have a team that can go this far, or I have a team that's just like, we're gonna have to dead it here. He's good at realizing that. But yeah, man, Father Time looked like it caught up to him, and you could say it was a fluky fall on his ankle by Solomon Hill in that Hawks game, and that whole thing should have never happened. But at the same time, it happened. 36 years old,
and it had never happened in all of his years before. All of the minutes, it never happened before, and it happened there.
He's going to be over 60,000 minutes by this season. I think he might already be there. And that's just him and Kareem.
Serious minutes too, going into the paint, going to the line constantly.
Right. Yeah.
I respect Jay's take. I will always say that when it comes to this, like it was a ballsy take and it worked out for you last year, and you were right. Until LeBron is like absolutely looking like 2004 Karl Malone or something. Like
Yeah.
until I really see specific evidence, I'm not going to count him out. Just like you can never count out Brady, you can't count out LeBron. This team, if Westbrook learns to move without the ball, which probably won't happen, that will be extremely dangerous. That has always
Yeah.
been the thing that I feel has held Westbrook back from being an all-time great, is the ability to move without the ball and, you know, let's make your teammates great by being able to play off the ball. Everything else about this team, you know, it's pretty solid. It's better than it was last year. And of course, last year before the injuries, they were off to a super hot start. That being said, like T said at the beginning, they are probably the favorites, but it's not 2017 Golden State. It's not that type of favorite.
Exactly.
It's not Brooklyn at full power favorite. It's not that type of team. However, with all the guys on this team, everybody has been there, done that.
Yeah.
It's at a certain point. I feel good about them. It's going to look rough at points during the regular season, as you've seen during the preseason. They're 0-6.
Yeah.
They played more preseason games than anybody else and haven't won one yet. There's going to be a huge learning curve. There's going to be egos to balance. There's going to be subtweeting throughout the season, but I do expect them to end up at least in the conference finals this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'll say they are the favorites right now in the West, but I think that's more so because of the shape of the Western Conference right now. Whereas if you give me a Western Conference with a fully healthy Clippers, a fully healthy Denver,
fully healthy
and
Warriors.
Personally, I would say the Warriors too. Those are three teams that I would like over the current Lakers right now.
We'll get there too. I know we're gonna get there next.
It's not easy to hear, I know, but this is like, I mean, Westbrook can't shoot. We see how he ends these games. Davis, he was really good in the bubble. Then it's the injuries that seems to always be the common denominator with him. And LeBron is just not the same LeBron from 2018 that could just backpack a struggling unit like he once was capable easily. Like carrying teams to finals, that was easy for him. He's not that guy no more. And that's just because of age. It's not because of he lost a certain skill set.
I'll hear that. I don't agree with that, but I can definitely hear that.
And then
also last year in the play-in game, we got to remember that Golden State team was god awful and they were very close. And, you know, I don't complain about the refs too much. I do think the Lakers got the benefit of a few calls that game. And then Andrew Wiggins turned into Andrew Wiggins at the very end.
God,
there was some bad passes here and there. That game was, and then LeBron shoots with his he shot with his shoelace.
To Caldwell Pope, almost lost it. Shot clock at 7. James, 2 defenders on him. To Caldwell Pope inside. He's tied up by Green. Throws it back up top. James puts up the 3. Oh, it's gone! LeBron James from downtown as the shot clock expires.
And that deep 3. They were very close to losing to a terrible team. There was no Davis injury at that point, at least the injury that he sustains in the Phoenix series. So I'm not going to say, oh, Davis doesn't get hurt versus Phoenix. And
I'll say though, Draymond kind of took Davis out in that game, which was.
And all I'm saying with this Lakers team, talking about last year, and, you know, we respect Russillo. My gripe with him is he overrates the hell out of the Lakers. Yeah. I don't think they were a championship team last year. No. Of course, I'm saying they are probably the favorites this year. It's just, you're not adding upon the 2020 Lakers or the beginning of the 2020-2021 season Lakers. We're adding on to what we saw at the end of last year, which wasn't great.
Let me ask you guys this question. Lakers in a playoff series, playoff game 6, you're down 5 on the road against Golden State in the Chase Center.
Yeah.
Place is going crazy.
You can't really even have Westbrook on the floor at this point.
I was going to ask, what is the closing lineup for the Los Angeles Lakers in that situation? T, you could answer that.
Yeah, T can go first.
It's probably Davis at the 5. I know he hates it, but
but
he's gonna have to suck up. If we're gonna have Westbrook as a point guard, we need another shooter. So it's probably Davis at the 5. Braun I think Braun is, if it's crunch time, Braun's still gonna take the 1. Westbrook, you're gonna have to play off ball. A combination of Malik Monk's going to be in there shooting. Kent Bazemore is going to be a starter. You can lock that. I just really like the way
I think so too.
He's going to be the guy to start shit too.
Yeah, he's going to be that reliable starter. and then another shooter, Tane Horton Tucker. I don't know, Jay. A lot of it.
See,
Is
when you hear that lineup, though,
Melo probably gets in late just because you might try to ride his.
It's trouble on the defensive end.
That's my problem with them. So you got Westbrook, LeBron, and Davis. Obviously, they're going to be on the floor when it matters most. LeBron, Westbrook, the shooting, the spacing, that already concerns me. Davis is not really a spacer either. And then you throw in the two guys. I'm with you too. I actually like Kent Bazemore. I think he's kind of underrated in his career. He always seems to be on these good teams and fits in well and fulfills his role. And I think those guys are underrated sometimes.
Yeah, you need
but that being said, like even with him and say you throw in Talen Horton-Tucker as the final guy or take your pick Melo, there's just not enough space for that team. Like when I throw that 5 on the floor, I don't see much space because obviously teams are not up on LeBron's chest when he's at the 3. He'll make the occasional, and I can't believe dudes still fall for that bullshit move he does. The fucking wind up. Oh my God. Yeah. I feel like y'all really falling for this shit, man. But dudes in the playoffs, the good teams aren't falling for that, and no one's playing up on Westbrook. So it's like,
here's my counter though.
How are you generating the
last
offense?
thing to
If
that,
anybody can put,
Gabe, let me counter first. All right.
Okay.
Let me counter first. Here's my last thing to that, Jay. I'm gonna quote Shannon Sharp on this too, and I agree with it.
that's not a guy to quote.
last two champions haven't really been the best 3-point shooting teams and great spacing teams. They've been teams that dominated the rebounds and have size, which both the Lakers do.
Yes.
I think the Warriors, that dynasty really made everyone think you need shooting, you need 3-point shooters along the floor to win, which I agree with. But over the last couple seasons, the champions really haven't been that great of a shooting team, and we've gone back to traditional size type basketball, which the Lakers have shown.
It's an excellent point. That's an excellent point that I haven't even thought about really. We could be going backwards in seeing a new trend in the league. I was just going to say, if anybody can put Westbrook in check and have him space the floor, it's LeBron. If anybody can figure this situation out, and here's why I don't count out LeBron yet and why I never can until it's literally in my face. He's not KD, he's not Giannis, he's not Kawhi when it comes to the talent and everything, but nobody controls the pace of a basketball game and the emotions and the aura and all of that of a game in today's day and age, like LeBron.
Exactly.
And that's huge in the playoffs. And we're jumping straight to playoffs sort of in this conversation because it's a foregone conclusion. This team,
they'll be good in the regular season. That's what Westbrook helps them.
They're going to be a top 4
like
seed, which is something that wasn't the case last year. You know, they're not going to be a 7 seed this year. They're going to be a 1 through 4, most likely. I don't know about what. I think this team's going to have a rough start, but they're totally going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I heard what you guys like the argument on why they might be better in the postseason with that lineup. But with me, it's still like I'm still not totally sold because I'm just thinking Westbrook's in the corner. No one's playing up on that. Westbrook is the guy that needs the ball in his hand. And if you're the Lakers, there's no way you're putting the ball. Obviously, the ball is going to be in LeBron's hand. So it's like we have a long enough sample size of how Westbrook plays in these close games where if he doesn't have the ball in his hands or if he's not throwing the ball 10 feet into the stands, he's not really doing much to help your team. Those are where my concerns really lie with him. But T, you mentioned this when you started off with your thoughts on the Lakers. I think it comes down to how much of a bounce back season Anthony Davis could have. Because let's not forget, when he came onto the Lakers, the vision was, all right, LeBron's going to kind of carry the weight for like that first 2 years in the bubble finals. They won that. And this is supposed to be the time where it transitions to like Anthony's the vision.
That guy for us. He's supposed to.
This was the vision.
Problem, Jay, where he shows up. He reminds you on a Wednesday how talented he is and how nobody can guard him. And then Friday, it's like 11 points, 4 shots, and he just disappears. And it's like, dude, you're way too talented to do that.
Way too talented.
When you get to that level, it has to be on a consistent day-to-day basis. You have to remind the league. The league has to be on notice that you're that guy. It can't just be like, oh, look, remember how good he is. Like, no, you're Anthony Davis. You need to take us to that promised God land. So we'll see. A lot of it for him. If for what it's worth, I mean, every guy comes into the season saying, I'm in the best shape of my life. I had the greatest. I've never
Which we always hear. Yeah.
I've never ever heard a player say, oh, I'm just coming in. I had a regular off season.
Exactly. A good point.
He mentions he put on weight. He's ready to play the 5. He mentions that it hurt him a lot that he was out against Phoenix. So we'll see. Hopefully,
We'll see. Yeah.